part two. We went over some terms, and once again, growing up in Korea, you guys hear a lot of American English. That's all you really learn is American English. And it's when you go an intern or you work with a French chef or German chef, they have a different accents. And so once again, I'm going to play the short video, and I want you to really focus in on the language because it's very important. Okay.
Hi, and welcome to Adventures in World Cuisine. I'm your host, John Veljinko, and today we're going to make a very special dish from northern China, a type of dumpling that I find is very, very delicious. And our guest host today is Susan from northern China. Introduce yourself, Susan.
Hello everyone, I come from Luoyang City of China.
Okay, great. What we're going to do, we're going to make we have a dough, fresh ground pork, chopped carrots, shiitake mushrooms. What do you call this in Chinese?
Xianggu.
Shangu is shiitake, we use the Japanese name. Some garlic, oil, soy sauce, black pepper, and you call this?
Wuxiangfen.
Wuxiangfen?
Yes.
Okay. This is 5 spice powder. 5 spice in English. Some salt, ginger, and some chopped green onion, and some very interesting radish, daikon radish paste. It's very interesting. How did you make that?
Okay, I will show you how to make it. Okay, boil it.
Okay, how long do we cook this for, Susan?
20 minutes.
20 minutes until very, very soft.
So, at this course, we can do another thing.
Okay, now Susan's going to make the dumpling wrapper, which is, my understanding, just flour and water?
Yes.
Do you add any salt?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, after about 20 minutes, she's worked the dough until it's very elastic and can stretch out very well. Clean bowl.
It don't
doesn't
stick
stick-
your fingers.
Doesn't stick to your fingers anymore.
Yes.
Okay. She's developed the gluten in the flour. We're ready to go. Okay, Susan, now we cook this for 20 minutes until it's very soft. What's the next step?
Oh, next test, how to make the dry mou.
Is that good enough, Susan?
Yes.
Okay. The reason why she's wringing this out is the daikon radish has way too much moisture to be used as a filling in the dumpling. Since this comes from northern China, they use a lot of root vegetables. The radish and the carrot are good examples of wintertime root vegetables. You can see she's getting out of quite a lot of water. Now look at that. Okay, wonderful. That's really dry. Look at that. Okay. Okay, now we have our radish done. We have our pastry done, our wrapper dough done. We have everything chopped up. Now we're going to start the filling. Going to take a little oil. We're going to sweat the garlic. And ginger. Just cook it very lightly to get the smell and the color out of them. Add our mushrooms. take a little soy sauce. Be glazed with soy sauce. A little 5-spice powder.
Yes.
A little black pepper. We're going to mix the rest of the ingredients together. Okay? Okay, you got a ground pork. All this carrot?
Yes.
All of it?
Yes.
A lot of carrot, huh? This is a very, very interesting dumpling. Very, very interesting. Okay, our dry radish. Look at that. And green onion. All this, Susan?
Oh.
All. Wow. How much salt?
According to your taste.
Good for starters. Okay, mix them up.
Yes.
Let's get rolling. Okay, great. We got a filling made, we got a dough ready, we got a steamer warming up, and
Yes.
now let's fill the dumplings.
Okay. Okay. The middle is thick,
Mm-hmm.
side is thin.
Yeah. Well, let's fill some.
Yes.
Go ahead, show me.
Okay, I'll show you.
That looks
And
great.
then
Wow, very nice. Now we have a bamboo steamer.
yes.
This has a little rubber line on it so it don't stick. Okay, now we're ready to steam the dumplings. Ah, great. Here we go.
Yes.
We got our water boiling.
Yes.
How long will this take, Susan?
15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
Great. Great. 20 minutes has gone by and here we go. Wow.
Wow.
Look at that, huh?
The smell is
Okay.
beautiful.
Great. Okay, thank you very much for joining us on this program. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. You can visit our website for all the recipes and bios of our guest chefs. Thank you very much for joining us and have a good day. Okay, here we go, Susan. Grab one. How do you say Chinese?
No.
Enjoy.
Did you catch that? Did you listen to how she speaks? Her English is very good. Don't get me wrong. It's not that her English is rough or anything like that. It's just a different accent. Obviously, you Koreans have different accents. When I speak Korean, I'm sure I sound funny. That's for sure. But if you're going to work for a large hotel here at the beach or anything like that, they always have a foreign chef. They always have a foreign chef, and you don't know if it's from Italy, France, Germany, or Chinese or something like that. So, once again, I want you listen to that video, listen to the English, and then once again, I have another dialogue to use, and I want you to listen to that. But let's get back to our notes here. I'll give you a second to copy down this dice to dredge. 1, 2, 3. Okay, diced. Once again, in class time, I'm not really that concerned about the exact size that some chefs do, and other instructors, other chefs in school, they might want small dice to be 3 to 4 millimeters, right? Medium dice, 5 to 9 millimeters. Large dice to 1 centimeter, right? I'm not going to be taking out a ruler. What I'm looking for is consistent size, large, medium, small. And once again, you'll see it comes pretty natural size anyway. Large dice is generally used for like soups, stews, things like that. Medium dice is generally for soups, and garnishes for sauces. Now, the term garnish, once again, doesn't only mean parsley on the side. if I make a sauce with mushrooms in it, that the mushrooms are considered a garnish of a sauce. So garnish can mean many things. Pâtés, I think you know what a pâté is. If not, we'll talk more about that. But they usually have nuts or truffles in it. That is the garnish. Small diced soups, once again, could be soups, could be stews, depending on recipe. Salads, if you have vegetables added onto a salad, usually small diced that way. Okay. Drained. Drained is to pour off. You drain off pasta water when you're cooking pasta. The recipes say, cook pasta till done and drain. Right? So, but you can drain other things. You can drain a sink. You have a sink filled with water. You need to drain that. Means to pop it, let the water run down. What else would you drain? That's about those two things I think you're going to find in the kitchen. That's for sure. Dredge, dredging. Once again, when we're sauteing, we're going to take a piece of chicken breast. We're going to dredge it in flour. It means to drag through. Just drag through it. Not coating, not make it tonkatsu. You just lightly coating on it. Dredge it and throw it into the pan. Dredging is a very common thing when we talk about sauteing. Okay, moving on. Now to the next ones. Give you a second, copy it down, and then we'll discuss it. Okay, you did get it down. Dry, you dried or dried, right? You dry things in the kitchen. You might, well, in Korean cooking, it's funny. You have a lot of dried stuff. You have dried fish. You have dried radish, mulmarangi, I think it's called. You use dried a lot, and dried fish is kind of interesting here. The pollock, pyeongtaek, the dried pollock fish. I like that. That's really nice. Nice flavored fish. Murchi, it's dried. You have it a lot. Western cooking, we don't use a lot of dried items except for herbs. Spices are dried. To dry something in the kitchen, you really don't dry. If you wash a chicken, you should dry it. Pat dry, that type of thing. But once again, that's really, really more of you guys use it a lot more. To dust or dusting. Right, that's kind of a bakery term, but a lot again that we use it in the hot kitchens. To dust with flour. Dredging, you actually coat with it, but dusting you might just sprinkle a little on there. Dusting for garnishing, you can dust with gochugaru, right? Chili powder. Dust with that. Dusting just really means light coating. It does mean a lot. Well, dredging is a heavy coat. Dusting is a light coat, and we talked about the term coat and coating before. Egg wash, bakery term, yes. Hot foods also. If you're going to be putting something in the oven, we're going to make like shepherd's pie or a savory type of pie. You take egg yolk or egg white and yolk and a little water. You whip it up together and you put it on there. Gives everything a nice brown coating. Basically a bakery term, but once again, in hot foods we use that. Right? Extra. Extra doesn't mean plus. Usually, if you chop the onions and use 2 cups for sautéing, the extra will be used for, say, salad dressing, things like that. Extra is not part of the recipe, but usually added to the recipe. If you have extra chicken, use it, that type of thing. The recipe called for 2.5 kilos of chicken, but if you have 3 kilos of chicken, well, that's a lot of extra. But still, once again, if you have 2.5 kilos of chicken, 500 grams, that's not that much extra. You could add that to a recipe. Really shouldn't make a difference, except if you have to adjust seasoning. Ooh, adjust seasoning, right? Usually salt and pepper. If you add extra potatoes to a soup, you're going to definitely have to adjust the seasoning. Fine chopped, fine chopped, there is a difference, right? So fine chop is to cut very, very garu style, right? Gochugaru is ground, but really chopped very, very fine. Usually herbs are chopped fine. Onions and garlic, once again in Western cooking, since we don't eat a lot of that, we do chop it a lot finer. And then to flatten something is to mash it down. You flatten down the chicken breast, that's a very common thing. But even like bread, you can flatten down bread if you use that in a recipe. Make a French toast. Even like Isaac, once I mentioned Isaac, the Isaac toast is basically like a grilled cheese. If you watch them make that, they flatten it down, they push it down, and it does make a difference when it comes to cooking. Okay, moving on to the next ones. Okay, to fold. Fold once again is a bakery term, but we use it in the hot kitchen also, but it's mostly a bakery. Fold is to add something, and we've talked about the word incorporate before, right? Once again, we're not mixing it. We're not mixing it. Folding is if you have egg whites and let's say a meringue. If you whip egg whites and you're going to add sugar to it, you're not going to just mix it in and get rid of all the bubbles, right? You're going to fold it in. It's a gentle, like taking a piece of paper, folding, 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 right? We're not really mixing it, right? But once again, it can be a liquid folding, where you take a spoon and you take the bottom and put the bottom on the top on the bottom, right? So again. Garnish, which again we talked about garnishing, and garnishing is not just look at that. Is that real? Nah, there's a rubber. But I mean, this clearly you would call a garnish, right? But if you look into the peppers, the sausage themselves, you see the green parsley flakes and things like that. That would be a garnish of the sausage. So once again, it's garnish. That just doesn't mean garnish with lemon. Where we got looks like jalapenos. That's a side dish, I guess. But there's obviously the tomato and the wasabi. The ginger. But this would be really the garnish per se. If it says if you're making sausage, it says garnish with chopped parsley. It doesn't mean put it on top. That means put it on the inside. So garnish isn't only just on the side dish. You're making a mushroom sauce forestière, which we do always make that in class. We make demi-glace. We make a mushroom sauce. The classical French name is sauce forestière, sauce from the forest. It's garnished with chopped tomatoes, concassé tomatoes, and mushrooms, right? So that's the garnish of the sauce. So I'm saying garnish. I don't want you guys to get confused and think, oh yeah, if I say, we're going to make something and it's going to be garnished with chopped parsley, it doesn't mean sprinkle it on top. It can, if they follow the recipe, but it can be inside too. Moving on to golden brown. We use this a lot. That term is used an awful lot. You're going to saute onions until golden brown, right? You're going to cook a chicken breast until golden brown, right? So it's a light brown. Gold is a pretty bright color if you think about it. It's not a dark color. It's used. So if you go on the internet, you look at you type in recipes. That's used an awful lot. You will see that many, many times. Grated, grater. And then they have the English word great, like G-R-E-A-T, great. Oh, that's a great idea. And there's if you look at a drain, they have the bars going across. That's a grate in this spelling. So it can get really confusing, right? Once again, we talked lightly about it. If you get a great ginger. In Korean cooking, they make muguk. You're going to grate the mu. It depends on the recipe. I've seen people slice it, so it depends on that. And usually a grater is a box thing. I don't have a wood thing, but I'm sure you know what it is. Your mother has one. They're very common here in Korea. Okay, moving on. Don't forget that. Add that. Copy that top part. Okay, scroll. To grind. No, grind. Okay. Ready? Hit it, guys. Back. I hold my breath while I do that, so please excuse me. Grind, ground, grinder. Once again, in English, once again, we have different usage, different meanings. To grind something is the action of grinding. So the recipe says, take tonghuchu, peppercorns, grind to make ground pepper, right? And you would do that in a grinder, okay? Not only just pepper, but nutmeg Any kind of dry spice is usually ground. Cinnamon is used, that's ground. Coffee grinder, all right? It's ground coffee, and to grind is the verb of doing it in the action of. Next one is julienne. Once again, this is the most common one that you use when you're cutting anything, like when we're doing the knife demonstration. I was sharpening the knives, so I was just lightly cutting things. I cut things to julienne, you cut it into brimlois. That's the most common knife cut that you'll ever see. In Korean cooking, the best example is guljeopan and dokbuk. We'll use eggs, depending on service, but egg whites, egg yolks cut. It's a fine julienne that way, that's for sure. Guljeopan, another one, is all 9 items that are all julienne. Margin. If you look at like a piece of paper like this is up there, right? You got the line here. This is a margin. So depending on what we're doing, what we're making in class, especially in the bakery, usually, say if we get this a little too big, but say we're making like ravioli. Ravioli, you know what it is? Like it's an Italian dumpling, right? This would be the margin. So you make sure you put the meat within the margin. And then you would take your egg wash and put it around there. So you basically, as a glue, to come down. So once again, the term margin means that blank space there, here, that either you put the meat in the center or you put the egg wash in the margin. That's what the margin would be. Okay. Moving on to mirepoix. Okay. Copy this down. Okay. Hopefully you're stopping this. Okay. Mirepoix. Needless to say, I'm going to move on with this one. We've talked about it enough. You should understand mirepoix quite well. And we're going to go on to mix. Once again, mix generally means vigorously. Vigorously means you mix well, right? Folding is gentle. Combined is gentle. Mix is pretty much you get into it. It's not whipping, though. Once again, you have to read the recipe very, very carefully. The reason why I'm showing you this is because part of your homework sometimes will be to get recipes off the internet. And they're going to be using terms like this. And I just don't want you to copy them. I want you to understand, like if the recipe says mix, combine, fold, you understand there is a difference between these. Okay. Moving on to moist cooking methods. Moist cooking methods. Stocks, steaming, simmering, blanching, shallow poaching, en papillote, pan steaming, boiling, and can be combination thereof. But we'll just talk about moist cooking methods right now. Steaming, obviously. Vegetables. What's interesting, too, is Korean, what do you steam bread? Kimbang, which is, once again, funny. When I first came here, so I said, you want some steamed bread? It's like, steamed bread. To me, bread's cooked in an oven. It's golden brown. It's crunchy generally, It's like, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting for sure. And then they had like what would you call a mandu? Where they have meat on the inside of the chimbang. I mean, beans with the meat in there, which is really, really nice. And that's a nice, like, wintertime, nice food, that's for sure. I really like that. Simmering, once again, is a key Western cooking method. We simmer an awful lot. Korean cooking methods, once again, I said earlier, you guys really boil things. Everything's boiled. The jjigae is the tongue. They boil really hard. But simmering, we simmer stocks, we simmer soups, we simmer sauces. Rarely do we boil anything. What we usually boil is pastas, things like that. Blanching, we talked about. Shallow poaching. I don't think you have any of that in Korean cooking. We shallow poach. Shallow means not deep, right? Poaching means a wet cooking method. And usually you put mirepoix in there or bouquet garni, sometimes wine. Chicken breast, dakkasim, poached, right? So you're not boiling. Once again, in Korea you have a tendency of overcooking chicken breast. That's why you guys don't like it. Dakkasim. You guys not very popular because it's very dry. You overcook it, it's dry. Shallow poaching, you cook in a light simmer, and just until done, and then you remove it. Salmon's very nicely poached. Fish is mostly poached. You don't really poach pork or beef, not that I know of. Liver, it's poached, usually like that, but you can saute that. Poaching, the difference between shallow poaching and poaching is how much liquid. That's true. So you have a lot of liquid you're poaching, and you poach eggs. If you take them out of the shell, you cook them in water. That's a poached egg. Generally, don't add anything to poaching water, but you can. Obviously, you can add like aromats, meaning sachet spice, wine, things like that. You can adjust that. On papillote, very classical French, means in paper. Once again, we would take like obviously not an A4 paper with recipe on it, but a parchment paper that's used in the bakery. You put down a piece of salmon, you put some herbs, spices, seasoning, and you fold this over, and you close it up to make a little package, right? And you throw that into the oven, and it steams. It's basically a steam. It's cooked in a dry oven, but it's steamed on the inside, and then it's generally served in the paper. It's a very nice one, papillote. I like it. Pan steaming, I think that's crazy guys with goguma, things like that. Something that you cook on top of the stove in a steamer. Boiling, self-explanatory. Okay. Let's see. Okay, combination cooking method. We'll start there. Copy it. Combination cooking methods are used making stews, soups, braised meat, things like that. The idea is that you saute something or you brown something first, and then you add a liquid and you finish cooking it that way. Simple enough. Braising is very important, and stewing. We'll just focus on those two. And in class, I generally like doing stews. The reason why, because you guys like stews. You like wet, soupy things. The difference between a Korean stew and a Western stew, can you guess what it is? Or just think about it. Maybe not. It depends on your experience. Western cooking stew is a meat-based item. You'd have 60 to 80% of the item would be meat. The rest would be vegetables, and generally carrot, celery, and onion, mirepoix with spices. That would be like a Western-style stew. Now you can add mushrooms and things like that, but you're talking about 80% meat, 20% vegetables. That's a Western-style soup. Okay? We're going to just finish off this segment now with paste. Tomato paste, garlic paste, gochujang paste, right? Toothpaste. Right? Now, paste is not necessarily a attractive word. Toothpaste sounds horrible when you talk about cooking. Like gochujang, people say that it's chili paste. It's more like a chili sauce. I'd use that. Okay, we got another video to look at. I want you to listen once again very carefully to this. This is Arlene, and she has a little Filipino accent, which is very cute. Okay, thank you very much. Time means something that's been around for a long time and doesn't change. It stands the test of time. Once again, today's menu, you know what we're going to be doing? Don't worry about the rest of this here. Don't worry about this. Just the title here, which I should come around to read to you.